Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Marcus from TCG Discussions coming at you with a Bandlist discussion video today. Japan had just announced after their nationals that they are going to do a revision of the ban list. And so with this has come a lot of speculation on what should be on the list, what shouldn't be on the list. We're going to talk about decks, leaders, everything, the whole 9 yards, the whole shebang, and kind of get down to the nitty gritty of what I think should be. As always, it's a discussion, so leave your comments down below. Always want to have topics of conversations with everybody, see what their heads at, what they're thinking about. Yeah, let's start off with the two leaders in the game that I think should be banned, even though I know both of these leaders are probably not getting banned. The number one is an L. I think an L is a flat out stupid effect printed on a leader and should not exist the way that it is currently constructed. But they're not going to ban it because they just gave a whole bunch of support of it to the EB0. So that probably means hot negative on bans for that leader. But an L shouldn't exist the way it does. It inherently defeats the purpose of the attacking sequences that are what they are. Regenerating life is too broken, and when you get to regenerate extra life with Yamato and then Katakuri something back and get to 3 or 4 life, again, if you can get up there and they're not able to kill you because they're focused on your board or something else or don't have any good plays, it's pretty bad. And then the next leader, and this is just from a very general standpoint, it's because I'm a card game player, and a lot of people are really not going to understand this, especially after what I'm going to say about Sakazuki, but Uda. Uda as a leader should not exist in this game. Okay, so let me explain something. Drawing a card is a very basic effect from the previous game that I have played over and over and over again, Dragon Ball. Okay, it is drawing a card printed on a leader effect is as basic as it can possibly get. It is literally almost inherent to every leader in Fusion World. If not, it's got critical written on it, which is basically taxing a card out of your opponent's hand, or they're going to lose a life and not get that card. It's basically like banish, right? So when it comes to drawing a card, okay, in a game where the only other leader that draws a card is Sakazuki, and it has to break even to do it, I don't care how restrictive the pool is, because the card pool that already existed for green film was ridiculous. See OP04, green purple Dofi. But it's even worse now, right? Like the Uda structure deck cards and some of their promos. I mean, the promos not so much. I don't think many people are going to play the promos. I know Japan's not. But I'm going to be 100 with you. Good old Uda just won Nats for Japan, which means post EB01, pre OP07, and post OP06, the Uda structure deck is stronger than every deck in our meta, potentially, than the more buffed up versions of the decks that we already see as problems here. And I'll tell you what card they get that we don't currently have between now and EB01. And that's Dracul Mihawk. That's it. That's their only difference. One card. It's not it's a good card, don't get me wrong, it's a great card. But the reason she's so stupid is the number of ways that she just gets to draw cards. And that's a thing that is so stupid to have on a leader, because there are decks that auto lose to her simply because she is a 5-life leader, which she should not have been a 5-life leader. She should have probably been a 4-life leader, or else, or something lower, because these cards, taking a life with her on top of drawing potentially 2 to 3 cards a turn, a card for turn, a card for leader effect, a potential card off Nami, a potential cycle 3 for the New Genesis, and then taking a life, it's a +4 okay, to your hand, and then like a cycle, which is stupid. It shouldn't exist. Now, as the weaknesses, yeah, you can like hit your 8 cost kit or your 10 cost Dofi, or right now in our format, Ezo, because it's like the best green 2K other than the chopper that you could search. But as soon as we get to search Mihawk, we're like, yeah, buy Ezo, because Backlight exists, which is a 2-drop card that either has an option select of KOing or resting anyway, so Ezo's not as necessary anymore. But the point I'm trying to make here is that like, she draws way too much. Like, as a leader, it's oppressive. Like, it's actually oppressive to sit down against an Uda player and just know that, like, you can get starved, but they never can. And that's, like, a dynamic of the leader that's, like, really good. And then you're like, oh, well, it's because the card pool is limited to basically only green film when it comes with the deck. Yeah, except for, like, the 7-drop Luffy spams out, like, 5 other cards. And, like, you can literally do a combination sequence when Mihawk comes out to play 22 Dawn worth of cards off of 1 Luffy. And nothing like that should exist. Okay? I'm not going to explain the chain for you. You can go look it up yourself. It's, like, super stupid. And yes, while it requires specific things, like, even a Robin into like a law, right? A Robin with like 3 other Robins and 1 law is like a 3 for a 2 for a 3 for a 2. So I'm sorry, a 3 Dawn for a 3 that plays then a 2, then costs another Dawn to play another 3 to then play a 2, then cost 1 more to then swap for another 3 to play another 2, and then another Dawn to play another 3 and another 2. So it's like a stupid amount of worth of Dawn. Every Robin, so it's like 20 Dawn worth of like play for 6 is basically what I'm getting at. And like, there are dumber things to do than just play Robins in law over and over again. So this whole, like, you know, the card pool is really limited. Like Brook plays Usopp, Brook plays Uda, Luffy plays Brook, which then plays Uda or Usopp, and that's like the standard nonsense. But like a double blocker and an attacker for 7 Dawn after you got to like draw, search off the Nami that's already on the board, and like, I don't know, buffed a Nami in the process for like a double 6K, draw 2, and then like spam the board with 3 more cards, 2 of which are blockers, 1 of which will restand your Nami at the end when you pitch a card of, you know, the top 3 or 4 searches you just got, so that you can now stand her to search again. It's oppressive. Like, the thing that's also dumb is like the cards just don't really stay sideways, or the cards that you would want to attack don't stay sideways, because for some reason they decided to print a structure deck card that just stands everything, instead of like relying on the promo of where the wind blows to actually invest Dawn into that, so that like you could just restand your board, which I would much rather have them do, because it means that they have to commit their Dawn to a card that resolves at the end of the turn early, or save enough Dawn back to make that play, and then they may not be able to commit to having those cards, versus just, oh, I'm just gonna pitch a card out of my hand to stand a 7-drop Luffy, and then realize that if you out the board, that like at a certain point in the game, this stuff can just keep repeating because they're getting 3 or 4 cards a turn, and it's stupid. So, like, in my opinion, like, Uda should not exist as presently constructed in the game. It's way too stupid. Like, they should have, like, given her something else and just, like, walked away from the whole search a card, your top card, every turn to add it to hand. Like, it's dumb. Yeah, it limits her from playing other cards, but there's literally like 50 good film cards. Like, and like, even if you want to play 46 and then 4 others that aren't, whoop-de-doo, Basil, your like chances of hitting a card that is film is 92%. Okay, 90, like that's just simple math. There's 50 cards, multiply by 2, that's 100. 46, multiply that by 2, it's 92. 92% of the time you should be hitting a film card. Okay, and it gets better if you've drawn the non-film cards. So, yeah. A lot of people are going to be like, oh, why is he talking about Sakazuki, dude? Like, Sakazuki, best deck in the game, man. Like, it's so oppressive. It's so oppressive. Even though it still isn't winning anything outside of Europe. I mean, what we just had, there was a European 250-player locals that went 6 rounds. It lost to Bello Betty. He, like, curb stomped Sakazuki, like, every step of the way. We had a treasure cup that was just won by Katakuri again. There was, you know, I think there was another tournament like post the Nats of Oceania that was won again, not by Sakazuki, but by Purple Luffy, and by like en masse. Like Purple Luffy just had like a showing at that tournament. And then we have Japan, which has a much better version of Sakazuki. It's more consistent, has better cards, has a better topping than what we currently have, which is a Gecko Moria with Rebecca, which could be 17 Dawn worth of play, and all this other hot nonsense. We got all that going on, right? All that going on, and we still got people talking about how, like, Sakazuki is like the best thing, even though it just lost to a structure deck, like in Japan. I'm not joking. It like Katakuri was whipping its butt, Enel was whipping its butt, and Uda was whipping its butt. I have nothing else to tell you. Like Sakazuki is not the boogeyman of the meta that Japan's OPO4 like format made it out to be, and Europe isn't just got like the best players in the world. Like everyone else just sucks. They just don't know how to play against yellow. They just don't know how to play anything else. It's like, no, that's like not it, dude. Like you got like either your yellow players or like your other players just don't know how to play those decks as well in a Sakazuki. Like I just don't know what to tell you. Like everywhere else now other than you, Saka's losing, and it's losing to decks that don't get any great new support, right? It's not like, to my knowledge, I'm not aware, besides like the Mihawk, that like Uda got anything any better, and now it just won a Nationals, right? It's not like Katakuri, I mean, Katakuri got a lot, right? Like Enel got a lot. They both got a lot. But the bottom line, like, you know, like the light at the end of the tunnel is basically at the end of the day, you still lost again, right? And you're a better version in OPO6 than you are right now. So I don't see a reason for the deck to need to get hit. So a lot of people are going to be like, well, what about Rebecca? Can you at least give me Rebecca? And I'd be like, it's a kind of a fair conversation, because I'll be honest with you, like Rebecca is a really dumb card. Like, again, if I'm going to complain about free advantage with Uda, Rebecca isn't any better. Rebecca is, you play 4 Dawn, you get a blocker, and to top it off, it is either a free ad or a free play of a 5k. It's 7 Dawn worth of whatever. Well, with Gecko Moria, it's going to be Gecko, blocker, Hina, Homeboy, Helmeppo, and you can reduce a 5 cost to 1, and then another 5 cost to 2, and then Amar no Kumo, whatever that is, bottom, basically Lucci them both to the bottom of the deck. And I think that's just completely ridiculous. Or you could Hound's Blaze one of them and then like beat the shiznit out of the other one that's rested with plus 3k on your leader. So, I mean, but that 17 Dawn play that I just described, right, with the Rebecca playing the Hina and then the Helmeppo and the Rebecca being played off of the Gecko Moria wouldn't exist if Gecko Moria was a Gecko Moria. And people are like, what about Gecko Moria, right? You know, maybe you should ban that. The card that pulled the Rebecca out of the drop, then to pull something else out of the drop after it pulled that in the Helmeppo out of the drop. Like, yeah, you could talk about that, but they can't ban that for us when OPO6 is on the rise. Like, why would they want to kill their sales about, like, by going about and hitting a set that at the, you know, at the time of making this video isn't even out yet, right? Like, I mean, we're a month away from that bad puppy, and you're telling me that they're going to go to Worlds and then just come down with the ban hammer. Even if it was just like we had the set for a month, I still don't see them doing that, because as popular as Gecko Moria is, what championship preliminary has it won? None. Has it won flagships? Yes. But like flagships are like worst treasure cups here. So this whole nonsense about like Gecko Moria, even though it is easily the most popular deck in Japan right now, it is still not the best deck in Japan by far. Like, it is still either Yamato, Katakuri, which I lean more toward that. So Yamato, Katakuri, Perona, Sakazuki, or now Uta, maybe. Maybe the Uta like fan base will rise, and you know the K-pop stars will come out of nowhere, and you know just bring Uta. You know the K-pop fanboys will just like make Uta rise, and I've got a bunch of creepy people online talking about her as waifu, and then some other creepy guy that we're not going to talk about very much, but talking about Otama being waifu, and I'm like, Otama, whoa. All right, guys, stop fanboying so hard. It's weird. It's just getting weird. But all that to say, I don't know. I don't know how you address Sakazuki. I don't know how you justify addressing Sakazuki. I don't even know how you justify addressing it at this point, other than you're annoyed, right? I get it. You play cards, they remove them. And then they start removing them with big beat sticks that then just turn around, and every turn it replays itself. And it's like they barely never run out of resources, or if they run out of resources, they bricked and they were doomed to lose. So it doesn't really count, or oh, they saw a 10 cost Kaido, which everyone's dropping for no reason, and I don't get it. But okay, if you want to lose the NL matchup, fine by me. If you want to make your life harder, fine by me. But there's a reason why after Fabian won with his list, all those lists just crashed and burned. Number one, you're not Fabian, and number two, not to discourage people from playing his list, but it's number two, the precision and execution of playing such a low top end is bro, you could just make your life way more easier than it has to be. But that's just me, whatever. And again, other than Europe, zero success. At any high level tournament, aside from topping and being the most popular deck in the room. That's it, right? There's nothing else to talk about, right? Yeah, you have the numbers, you have a terrible conversion rate to show for it every time because you're oversaturated in the populace pool of deck representation, and you have equal to or less of Anel or Zoro or Uda probably now, in Katakuri, and Purple Luffy. I just don't understand why you think that is the deck. I get it. A lot of people saw what happened to OPO6. They saw the pie charts. They saw the videos of the content creators online, and they're this must be the truth. They sat down with the cards, doesn't even have to be expensive shiny versions of the cards. They sat down with the base cards, and they were let's try this deck out. And they're holy crap, controlling my opponent's board while establishing bodies, super duper good. I like it. This way, their cards that don't get attacked don't get value, and I get to remove them while establishing my own cards to hopefully eventually get that value and outvalue them in the end. And it feels super good when it runs on all cylinders. And then you play against it now, and then you get all moly rolled regardless, and you're I can't find an Ice Age and Lucci to save my life. I just can't do it, man. It is what it is, right? But it'll be what it'll be. And then now apparently Kata. I mean, Kata's still really good, and Kata just won a Treasure Cup. I just don't know what to tell you, man. And to all the people in Europe, I'm I don't understand how everyone else is just so much worse than you at Saka. It just must be all your other players either not knowing how to play in Osaka, or you guys, I just don't get it. I don't get it. And I'm not trying to insult the European players, but the bottom line is that Sakazuki does not have the results that merit a ban or a hit that isn't outside of population of people who wanted to play the deck. That's it. It is not like it was in Japan, where you could literally look at their championship series and see one Purple Luffy win and then 6 Sakazuki wins straight in a row with a horrible representation pie chart that was way worse than anything that we're seeing here. Way worse, okay? And then a Katakuri win at the end. It's not even the same conversation, right? we've had purple Luffy. I just want you to imagine this. Purple Luffy has won more major tournaments than Sakazuki. Okay? It's won 2 nationals, several hundred player events. I don't know what to tell you. Enel still has the highest win rate of any deck in the game. Yellow is a color. It, like, now with this Treasure Cup win for Kata, is like the best color in the game. And I get it. Value town, pitch, no cost on my reduction for 1 on attack. I get it. But slow your roll, homie. You ain't needing to go on all about this like that. You just ain't needing to tell me and go on and on and on about how good Sakazuki is. It's a great deck. And it is not any... It can't be considered anymore the top deck in the game. Right? Like, if my Enel rants about how good the deck is and what it does haven't curbed you with all the evidence of the results and the consistency of topping and the higher conversion rates, you should just look at the overall win rate versus the amount of representation of Purple Luffy, Enel, Katakuri, Zoro, and then come talk to me. I mean, like, and I'm going to reiterate this one more time, not to harp on European players, but look, you had an Enel go 12-0 before your top 64 cut in a 2,500 player tournament, and he just lost at top 64. But if you cut at the longest tournament this game's ever seen at 12 rounds and declare a winner, homeboy won with Enel. So, again, what is more problematic, Enel or Sakazuki? And if you say, well, Sakazuki's going to stand the test of time better, have you seen what they printed in EBO on? Are you sure? Are you sure about that? Are you sure? Like, because I'm not. I'm watching Enel take himself down to 1 so that a 4-cost event card can play the 7-drop immediately. And it's scary. Okay, it's like it's frightening on both fronts. Homeboy lost. Homeboy's just taking life, right? Like, I thought Holy at 4 Dawn was a problem. No, I was dead wrong. Turns out that 7-drop Enel at 4 Dawn is a problem. Like, I don't know what to tell you, man. I saw like the top Enel player for the Japan Nationals. Okay, just to like put this into perspective for people, was running the stage for Sky Island. That's how many good Sky Island cards are coming to us eventually. They have dubbed it not necessary to play any of the cards that we're playing. Now, I'm not saying that's going to hold. I'm not saying that's good. I'm just saying, bro, they consistently getting some of the best cards from that set over there, because they have now a 1-drop searcher that's a stage that can search Sky Island cards, and then a 2-drop searcher that can also search Sky Island cards and is a trigger, and then like everything else. And it just seems to like snowball and do very well. But you know how it is in the West. We always do things our own way over here. We figure it out, and in my opinion, I think it's always better in the end anyway. But the top NL player for EBO1, right, like at Japan Nats, I'm like, I can't even tell if he was playing Katakuri. I don't even know if he was playing Yamato. I mean, that's how serious like this was. So, yeah. And I don't know. I think that because of what's coming for NL, they can't. I don't think there would be a good justification to hit it. Let's talk about like some individual cards. Like I kind of talked about Rebecca already. She's kind of insane. I think it's fair. But I'd hate for you to just nerf black because Sakazuki exists. I'd almost rather you ban Sakazuki and let black be what it'll be and just not mess with it. But then you actually just make Rebecca absurd. Let's talk about Houndsblaze for a second. Like, should Houndsblaze be banned? Like, a lot of people like, yeah, like, look, they get a Marin Okami, like, or, you know, whatever it is in the next set, and I'm like, no, like, that's not a reason to ban Houndsblaze. Like, arguably, the 300 million bolts Amaru is actually worse than Hound's Blaze. Resting your opponent's cards while just buffing your cards 3k is insane. Like, you don't believe that because you've gotten Hound's Blaze 6k Brenude probably one too many times since OPO5's released. But the reality is I just need you to go watch game 1 of our Nats finals to show you how much more broken in the end game Amaru is versus whatever Hound's Blaze decided to bottom deck as your 4 cost like on your second turn. That their value is not equivalent in any way, shape, or form. But it is what it is. You know, people are gonna make their choices and they're gonna say Hound's Blaze is too broken. You know, if we in the Bandai, I got a wish list. My wish list, they would make something that reduces power like they do with like Ice Age and Great Eruption, and you know, I would like a 10 cost card that works like 10 cost Kuzan, but like reduces power by 7k during your turn. That is something that I would be super, like as a red card. And that would be something I'm super interested in. But instead they're reprinting Rush Big Moms on crack as aces. Just like, yeah, let's do that instead. Make yellow even better, dude. Like, give an L 10 cost Big Mom, but legitly with Rush. Why? Like, actually, just why? Anyway, but like, I need to like get back to the program here and, you know, get with it. I've seen some wackadoodle theories about hitting Ice Age. I think that is the most absurd thing I've ever heard in my life. I don't care that it is a 1 for 5. Number one, that doesn't do you any good to hit that card. That card has no purpose in generating any other value other than reducing cost. And while it is only a 1-drop that reduces 5, it is not a body that reduces 4, that is a 3 for 5, or a 4 cost blocker playing the 3 for 5 that reduces 4. It is not a Kuzan that, as long as it can swing after the turn it's played, that drew you a card and is constantly -4. It is not even in the same breath as Great Eruption. Okay, now I understand that for the math reasons, Ice Age can be better than Great Eruption, but it doesn't replace itself. Okay, so the wackadoodles out there that are talking about Ice Age, stop it. Get some help. It's not okay. All right, leave that card alone. In fact, I want you to leave it alone so I can keep memeing on the Zoro players. I was playing against a Zoro player at locals, and I was playing Sakazuki. Yes, I won with Sakazuki. But it was funny because he plays Rush Zoro and swung lead and hit Ice Age trigger out of life. And I've never really read the trigger on Ice Age because I know what I want to use it for. But I mean, again, just small learning experience. It says KO with 3 or less on your opponent's board. So I was like, oh, you messed up. You ran into the one Thunderbolt effect in my deck and it kills your Rush Zoro. So he's like, yep, and I'm too far behind. This game feels like it's over. And I did win, but that's not the point. The point is that stop hitting my Ice Age, right? Don't even talk about it. Like, and then it's like, well, what? Should we just not hit anything else? I mean, I don't know. Like, maybe Borsalino would be better, so you're not having to deal with like a 7 that bottom decks a 4 right away. Like, Mihawk would come back, but Mihawk's a 9 cost. Costs a lot of Dawn, a lot of commitment. Maybe that would be the play. I don't know. I mean, honestly, I think 7-drop Borsalino is obnoxious, but like 10 Dawn, play Hina, -4 something, and then an 8 cost, a 9 cost with your, a 9 cost card with your leader swing, just bottom of the deck that thing while playing 2 bodies. Sure, like, I guess that's fair. But like with Mihawk, it's like have Ice Age leader, and then, I mean, Ice Age at that point, anything is going to die to Mihawk. But I guess, like, even Great Eruption and, like, Leader Swing and Mihawk could kill anything in the game, but, like, and I will bot kill it, but, like, bottom deck it. But at the same time, it's still committing a 9 for 9 card at 9 Dawn. Like, it's 9 Dawn. It's not like 7. Or when the funky math comes at 8, you're getting clapped by like Ice Age on a 9 cost all the way down, which you're not going to be able to do that anyway because you'll still be at 7 Dawn. But that's not the, you get what I'm saying. And the thing is, addressing Sakazuki, it just doesn't feel to me right. Like, I don't feel that there's a legitimate argument outside of how strong the synergy of the deck is. And then I look at Uda and say that every single card in your deck is being searched by your leader every turn. Like, I just don't know what to tell you. Like, or, okay, it draws nearly every turn. And it's disgusting. Shouts to UniX TCG. I feel so sorry for how bad, how terrible. If you end up watching my video, bro, like, I deeply apologize for the overwhelming amount of Izos that just decided to be at the top of your deck when you sat down across from like 3 Sakazuki players. It was vomit-inducing. I mean, I just could not believe Izo wanted to camp at the top of your deck like that. It was ridiculous. Let's talk about Katakuri. Like, does Katakuri need addressed? Maybe. Big Mom? No. Okay. I'm not trying to call him out because he's honestly one of my favorite YouTubers to watch all the time. I think his like meme subscribes at the beginning are like the most funny or incredible things ever. Even though I would like him to see if he can find like and pull others from it. But like Kardi Kaizoku was talking about like Big Mom as being a poorly designed card because you either play it and it like blows your opponent out and like you win the game, or you play it and auto lose. That is the definition of a skill gap, and I do not think that that is a good reason to ban her. I don't think there is any reason, actually, to ban Big Mom for 2 reasons. She is archetype locked, which is, you know, really good. It's not like the ace coming out that's going to be just like, oh yeah, 10 for 10 rush and heal. I didn't even realize that the heal is automatic no matter what life you're at. That is disgusting. Okay? That is disgusting. It's only if you are 2 or less that you gain the rush. That is gross. You still get a 10 for 10 that auto heals you. Yeah, it's not like rushing or doing anything or attacking at a card or your opponent's life. It's not like possibly ending the game, but like, yeah, like, I mean, that's going to be gross. Like, imagine like a green Dofi player is like, yeah, 10 for 10, play my Dofi. Tap all your cards. Okay, 10 cost ace, just rush. Forget that, next 10 cost Dofi, swing 10 at life, take the life, oh look, another 10 cost ace, now I'll rush into your Dofi, or like rush back into your life, and it's like, every turn you're just like getting sacked by this card. Whereas Big Mom, yeah, she like does a 2 life swing, right? You gain, she loses. The problem is the board state can be in a position where it's like, you do that, you just die because you didn't do anything with your turn. Like, you critting this life out of mine and, like, healing you 1 doesn't save you against the onslaught of 7 cards and everything else that I've, like, reduced and removed off your board if I'm Sakazuki or, you know, Gecko Moria. Like, it doesn't matter. And at the end of the day, Big Mom is a 10 cost play. I mean, I'll be real with you. I think consecutive Doflamingos are more oppressive than consecutive Big Moms. I have watched players be at 0 life and then just Doflamingo, swing 10, Doflamingo, swing 10, swing 10, and just win the game. Like because there's like a blocker or 2, they can just eat them, and they have like 5 counter in hand, and like some 5k piddly diddly stick that's going to either be eaten by a blocker, or like they have 20 cards in hand because you're Uda, and I can just counter out of whatever it is. So like, I mean like, but then we're going to talk about 10 cost Mom being bad. There's almost no scenario when you play 10 cost Dofi that it's going to be like absolutely bad. Like, there are scenarios, like, don't get me wrong, like, I shouldn't just say that outright, but it's not nearly as bad as Big Mom, because you guarantee, unless they have some stand effect like Luffy and Rebecca, that 3 of their cards, and if they're the only 3 cards and the deck doesn't have rush, that you're safe. That's it. They're not untapping. They have to now establish a new card, which basically means they pass their turn because they're not killing you. They may do something to your board or play a couple cards or like cycle through their deck or whatever, but they're not killing you. Most decks can't unless you're red and have rush or you draw your random rush cards. And the point is that at the end of the day, right, Dofi has a higher, like, success top 10 play rate than Big Mom. Like at the end of the day, like, it is just a more effective card at ending the game. You could be completely winning, have a board that is like, this is literally the only card in the game that if it is played by my opponent, will actually just outright win them the game. That is how strong Dofi can be. Whereas Big Mom, you are probably already winning the game when her life swap effect of them losing one and you gaining one is coming into effect. Like, you probably actually could have just won without that. I'm not even joking. Like, unless the card you regenerated off life is a trigger that just like saves the game. Speaking of triggers, I've seen people wanting beige to be hit. No. Bad. No, don't hit beige. I understand why you want beige to be hit. And I think that you're really trying to take yellow out back and beat it with a stick. And I know I've kind of talked about beating a Nell with a stick, but I'm not talking about trying to beat yellow as a color. Okay? Yellow is the trigger identity, and beige is one of the strongest cards. But while beige can be even multiple beiges, first off, early beige is terrible. Okay? Beige is not good all game. Beige is only good when your opponent is trying to kill you and decided to overcommit into a play that they probably should have thought about. Hey, if that card is a beige, is it going to just ruin the game on the spot? Now, there's times where in One Piece, you don't have a choice, you just have to go for it. And at the end of the day, that is a decision that every player needs to make for themselves and decide if there is an alternative line that could either maybe buy them another turn to figure out what that card in their life is and have a backup plan in case it is beige, right? So, bearing that in mind, and that there is not always a time where that is feasible to do and you must go for a game, there are times where beige sacks the game on the spot. I won't lie to you. But beige and Onami are not in the same conversation. And Onami is a way better card than beige ever thought it could be, okay? It is a Thunderbolt that has counter. And while beige is a lock card that has counter, it doesn't have an on-play effect that gives the leader banish. Which I need to remind you, we're going to get a leader next set that has double attack inherent to it and can just move to Dawn to any other card on the board. So yeah, no. I do not think that beige needs to be hit. We're getting triggers that are insane in the future. And beige is just like a good staple, okay? It's like Izo, or like what Otama used to be for red. Or, you know, at this point, double finger for purple Luffy. Everything has its place, and just taking it away simply because you're like, I'm sick of getting sacked by that card. In the 1 out of 10 games I play against yellow, that just automatically, it's like, it is not like beige. Now, beige could get worse because we're going to have, yellow's going to get the ability to stack their life, which is like, But also at the same time, we don't know what it's going to be, right? Like, if yellow does get stronger, which it definitely does get stronger, and it's a check to Sakazuki, keep it around, right? Don't just ban yellow or ban its best cards simply because of that. And then it's like, okay, well, obviously you're saying nothing needs to be hit. Well, no, there are some things I still said that I think want to be hit, but they probably won't. But when it comes to yellow, I don't really find that there's really anything else. It may be banning the Kata leader. I will admit swinging for 7 is ridiculous. Like, period. Like, the fact that you just get a 7K that says a 2K is not enough is nuts, right? And the fact that you get to check life and stack it, you know, that's where I think like beige becomes like a little OP. When you get like the top life beige and put that at the bottom for later, and your opponent's just like runs into like Sanji and then Amaru before it, and they're like, God, what else could it be? And then they run into beige and they're like, F, no! Like, you know, that I think that's the point where like beige becomes toxic. And that's only because Kata is Kata. right? Like even when like Enel, like when the occasional beige comes out from Enel, I'm just like, yeah, I mean, you have 15 life anyway. You were eventually going to get the dang thing. So I don't even care about it, right? No, but there is actually another leader that I think probably does need to be banned, and his name is Zoro. Like, and I hate to say that because, like, I love Zoro, and I love that Zoro is in this meta. I, like, absolutely love that he's doing well and that he's, like, finding a place, and I don't want him to go. But there's something to be said about a leader that just buffs your whole board. Like, it's a reason why Boat is banned, okay? But that's, like, printed on a leader, okay? It's so bad that 1-drops are beating the face off of the meta. Like, Zoro just won a tournament before the Treasure Cup. Yeah, it did. That was, I said Purple Luffy, but it's actually Zoro. A Zoro player just won before the most recent Treasure Cup that was won by Katakuri. So, our meta is pretty defined, right? Like, we know Sakazuki's good. We know that Enel is good. We know that Purple Luffy is good. We know that Red Purple Luffy is good. And Zoro and Katakuri are just somehow sticking around, you know, floundering their way to up the ranks, and it's been getting worse. Like, at first it was like, yeah, top 16 Zoro. And then it was like top 8. And then, like, our Nats, it was like top 4. And then, like, right before Japan and right after our Nats, it's like, yeah, Zoro wins an entire event. And it's like, bruh. But yeah, here's my thing. Effects like that, especially with Dragon coming out, you could probably ban the leader. Dragon is a way more fair than, even though like it can be more OP with select cards, because attaching Dawn to cards like the Rush Sanji that has like no counter power, yeah, like that's ridiculous. Like that can be pretty good. But or like just any Dawn X2 effect that you wouldn't normally want to get, right? Like I think that's just super cool. And moving that Dawn I think is going to be like super unique, just see what like people do with it, right? But Zoro just flat out saying your whole board gets 1k. Doesn't matter what it is. Like you establish a couple Marcos, they're base 7s now, and like it for a Dawn attached to your leader, like it's the same problem with Katakuri. It's like now swinging for 7. They probably got rid of a card or two with their little like rah claw effects and just like, you know, KO'd that 3k or less or whatever the heck it was. Yeah, I'm just gonna flat out say like Zoro has been around long enough that I think that like that leader might need to go. And at the same time, he is not doing flat out anything in OP06 plus. So again, I can see why I'm okay. Like I can see myself being okay with it not leaving, and I like the leader, but it's broken and it's old. Like I think that's the other thing about it. Like Kata and Zoro, like Sakazuki and Enel and Gecko Moria and Purple Luffy, like defining the meta and like being good, like that's power creep with like the most recent sets, right? But like Red Green Law, like that's another thing, man. Like you kill Sakazuki, Red Green Law is coming back. Which people are like, oh, it's more skillful doing it. Actually, no, it's not. Stop. You're like actually trolling yourself. I like people mismathing with Sakazuki all the time is the entire reason they lose. Well, it's about Dawn management. Yeah, it's not just about Dawn management with that. It's also about reducing the right numbers or like not going overboard or in being as efficient as possible. Like there's way more things to calculate than just like, oh, well, how much Dawn do I use? And how do I cheat out this? Basically, well, what was it? It was 8, 14 twice. So like 14 unblockable for a kill twice. Like stop. Like yes, Red Green Law was the most skill intensive deck. Sakazuki came to the forefront and just blew it out the water in terms of what it actually takes to acquire it. I'm actually sorry. You don't just get to sit with like blockers and returning crap to your hand all the time for free and being like, oh yeah, this is so skillful. Just let me bounce my searchers back and then replay them off of my 5-drop. Like stop. Like that, you just generate a lot of cards. Again, a problem, but like you kill Sakazuki, that's coming back. So I hope you enjoy that. And like the old Vanguard, they're just hard to kill. Now I'm not saying that like, you know, Red Green Law can't come to the format and be good right now. except for Sakazuki exists, and well, Rob Lucci exists, and we're gonna now get a Sabo that basically is even worse for the deck. So again, I don't even know really if at the end of the day we can roll with that. So it'll be what it'll be. And I don't know. I think if there's any merit to hit anything on this list, period. And I'll actually give another good reason why you can't hit Big Mom before I get to that point. But like, another reason you can't hit Big Mom is because they're coming out with a Big Mom Pirates leader that is yellow-purple. And that would just like deflate any hype for that leader if you couldn't play it. You'd also kill black, yellow Lin Lin, for the record. There would be no way to be able to play her effectively. Because that deck literally just like tries to survive and then get to Big Mom and then like edge out that way. But like, if there's any argument, back to the point of banning anything, I think that it would somehow have to be in the range of addressing older leaders that are still overperforming. Or like, not overperforming maybe, but still competing at a high level enough to win, and or flat out winning. And I think that like that is problematic, right? Like, I think if you have a deck that is stood, that was made in set like 1, and it is now set 6, and it is still able to win a tournament, yeah, it's a problem. Okay, at Dragon Ball, for those of you who maybe not have had, not played it, Dragon Ball Masters actually just addressed this very issue I'm talking about. Golden Frieza basically was like the best yellow leader in the game. And like, people really didn't catch on to it. And in like set 21 and 22, it was still the best leader in the game. And it was a set 1 leader. And the amount of power creep of leader power between 1 and 22, except for apparently just that leader, it's ridiculous. So, but again, to my point about Zoro and Katakuri a little bit less so, but like more to Zoro, these old Vanguard decks sticking around for 6 sets is probably not healthy. That probably means they did something that shouldn't be repeated. Or we, may need to just ban Curly to Dan, right? Not have a card that searches your searchers. That might be a card that like should go, and make it less consistent. I don't know. Because, I mean, Curly to Dan does not just search your searchers. It searches like 17 other 1-drops in your deck. So I think that at the end of the day, addressing the older decks is the fair way to go. But in my opinion, I'm going to be 100% honest. I don't think anything should happen on this ban list. Like, that is my gun, and I'm sticking with it, right? Like that's where I'm laying my hat. Okay. I think that at the end of the day, the meta is healthy enough and diverse enough, and definitely not Sakazuki dominant enough to warrant the bans that we're discussing. If I had a personal choice, so just to like recap, the following cards are the cards I'd want banned: a Nell leader, Uda leader, and Zoro. Okay, I would want all 3 of those leaders banned. And I'll briefly recap why. Enel has an effect on it that should just not exist in this game. I'd rather you make him a 6-life leader than tell me that I literally have to like just continuously worry about that stupid regen effect. And then when they have 1 life left, like literally it's so bad that like Enel deters aggression, so you don't just give them a free cycle just to try to put them to 0. Like he just, his effect is stupid. And I just think I think that he just survives way too long. Way too long. I mean, it's not even like Queen where you're only regenning on your turn. It's like you're regenning on your opponent's turn and dumping on them by every card you play in the process. Like, that is continually like giving you more life to dump on them in the process and reset the number of attacks that they now need to be able to beat you on their next turn, while sometimes having enough removal to remove the cards that you played to hopefully do that. So like, it's stupid. Then Uda draws way too many cards, and the pool of it is actually way too strong. It turns out that vomiting 4 or 5 bodies is kind of too good. You should stop it. And then Zoro, an old Vanguard leader that has an effect, again, that I just don't think should exist. It's why Boat is banned. But Zoro, of these 3, is the one is the least of these. Like, if Zoro had his heyday again in our meta, I would not complain. But I will complain about an L, and I think that Uda is stupid. Don't get me wrong. And no, I don't think Sakazuki is quote-unquote stupid, because it takes a lot of skill to pilot that deck well. A lot. Number 2, not only does it take a lot of skill, it has severe weaknesses. Like, absolutely severe weaknesses. It can brick. It can get rushed down to the ground. It can lose to decks that go too wide too quickly. See Uda. It does not have a lot of counter, and so hyper-aggressive decks that can put on a lot of pressure when it doesn't see its removal is just going to, like, dumpster you. Especially if you don't see removal and the cards have rush written on them. And furthermore, it is hard-checked by yellow, which is the best color in the game. So I just don't see any reason to really address that deck, even though I know in my heart of hearts what's going to happen is that it will get addressed, because the community is going to complain and whine and not actually critically think about how the meta actually works. And furthermore, it's getting raffle stomped with a better version of it. It is getting literally stomped out of existence in Asia. So stop. No Gecko, no Rebecca, none of that other stuff. No Kuzan. I saw some also hot nonsense about Borsalino blocker. How far-reaching do you have to be to nerf black and hate it that much that you're trying to get rid of the Borsalino blocker in Ice Age? And I know the people who want Borsalino blocker removed. I know who those people are, okay? They're not blue players. They're not Sokka players. They're not Rebecca players. They're not black players, you know, because, like, black gets to play that card too, so it's definitely not them. They're not even red players, because red's like, I'm going to either bypass you with Luffy, bypass you with Janbei, or flat out not give 2 poops because I'm just swinging for the fences anyway. And then as soon as you block with that thing, I'm going to feast on it alive, okay? It is the gosh dang, and it's not even the green players. The green players are like, run into my 10-cost Dofi and my Captain Kid, right? Just don't have blue as your side or primary color to out my board. No. It's the yellow players that have got to be complaining about that. Oh my god, I just can't own it without 8-drop Katakuri. I can't Thunderbolt it on my turn. It's too good against my Gadatsu. Like, that has got to be the only group of players complaining about that card. It is so not that broken that Fabian was only playing 3 of them in his European largest tournament win list of Sakazuki. I want you to think about that. Japan mostly ran it at 3-2. Think about it. Why would a card that is absolutely so broken and ban-worthy be played only as a 3 of? Seems pretty sound. So don't come after my Ice Age and stay away from my Borsalinos. Anyway. Yeah. Do I think... So I've said what I think. I said what I want. Do I think they will ban something? Absolutely. I think they're not going to make an announcement and not do it. My hope, though, is that they just don't overcorrect and ban a whole bunch of nonsense. Like, I really hope they don't do what they did with, like, Newgate and then immediately make the community outrage and then like have a whole bunch of like backtracking. I just really hope that's like not a thing. So it'll be what it'll be, and we'll just have to see. But that's going to be it for this video. Thank you for sticking with me through my 54 minutes. I have, like I said, I've been working a ton, and yeah, I've just been, if I didn't say it, I have literally worked 9 out of like the last 11 days. So that is why the lack of content's been here. I got a couple profiles that I want to bring to the channel. Hopefully I'm going to try an updated Sakasuki list at some point. Talk about the strengths and merits of some of the changes that I'm going to make, and kind of trying to adjust some of my gameplay philosophy to see if like I can fit some niche techs in here and there. So I'm really trying to solve the early game until OP06, which is next month anyway, but like OP06 is probably where I'm going to hang my hat with Sakasuki and play Gecko Moria. And then I've got a couple more discussion videos coming down the pipeline. They won't be this long. This one, I think there's just too many cards to not talk about. And so, to not have, sorry, there's too many cards to talk about to not have a video this long is what I meant to say. And I think that with this stuff, I also need to like express my opinion with it, because if I don't, or where I explain myself where I'm coming from, I feel like we'll just be saying some hot nonsense about cards that we feel need to be banned. But at the end of the day, it's an opinion, it's a discussion. So leave your comment and your opinion in the discussion down below in the comment section. That's it for this one. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you next time. Laters.